Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. We're streaming out live on the Alternate Current Radio Network, also at 21stCenturyWire.com. We're also streaming out live on X and Rumble, YouTube, as well as BitChute and a couple of other platforms on the audio streams as well. If you're subscribing to the audio podcast, iTunes, Spotify, all the major podcasting audio streams. We're there after the show, just after the show, this program on Sunday, as well as the Midweek Wire. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 550 of this weekly Omnibus News Analysis program. Great to have you with us. We have a pretty jam-packed show in terms of stories and information. We're going to be joined by our teammates from Alternate Current Radio after the halftime break in Overdrive. Hesher and Ruckus will be joining us to go through some of the more tedious and difficult and complicated stories. Among those, there's a lot of fear-mongering about well, we're calling it a false flag or a so-called Muslim terrorist attack in America. The CIA assets have been deployed onto the podcasting circuit, and they're spreading all sorts of propaganda. So they're trying to prepare the American public for what looks like a false flag. So this looks like it's in the works. We'll show some of the examples of this in the second part. And obviously, experienced media analysts, Bryan McClain, Adam Clark, Ruckus as well. They've been following this type of foolery from our deep state for over a decade now. So as well as myself, we're very versed in this type of propaganda. We'll be able to debunk quite a lot of it. The other thing that's really happening and is about to, it could be happening as we speak, as we're going live on this broadcast, the Gaza Flotilla is entering Israeli-controlled waters as we speak right now. So they're just a few hours away from that threshold. They've been threatened by the Israeli authorities. They're carrying aid on a sailboat, 60-foot, approximately 60-foot sailboat. Not a big craft, not carrying weapons, obviously. And even if they were, that wouldn't be very much. And considering what Israel's done to Gaza, seriously, but Israel's treating it like they're delivering weapons. Okay, 12 peace activists. And a journalist, probably the most vulnerable person is the journalist, because Israel likes to kill journalists. They've killed 220 of them already in the last 20 months in Gaza alone. More than all journalists lost, I think, in all wars in the last 100 years combined, something like that. So another great benchmark achieved by the rogue state of Israel. We'll cover where they are. We've also got their live tracker. So we'll be sharing that GPS satellite positioning with you. We'll do that in Overdrive as well. So we've got those. Those are big stories. There's a lot of stuff that has happened. We covered in the Midweek Wire, the Ukrainian drone strike against Russia, the lack of clarity from the United States, from Trump, about whether he had foreknowledge of this or not. This basically derailed negotiations that were going to be happening in Istanbul. Negotiations went through the motions, you could say, but obviously it's a lost cause at this point. The Ukrainians mounted an attack that hit Russia long-range nuclear deterrent, long-range bombers, and there's a reciprocal agreement between the United States and Russia through the START Treaty, START 3, that those planes will be visible for surveillance on both sides so that both sides could keep track. And what the Ukrainians did with the help of the CIA and British intelligence, it looks like pretty clear, that they took advantage of the START Treaty and were able to give the positioning to the Ukrainians. So who knows exactly technically how the operation went down, but it's basically another red line crossed. So they really want to get some kind of a major war going. And Donald Trump is playing coy. Oh, I didn't know anything about it. So if you're the president of the United States and you didn't know about it, then you've got a problem with your leadership. Okay, you've also got a problem with your intelligence community. They're not reporting to you, so you're not really in charge, Donald. Right? That's the problem. Okay, so that all the negotiations, all the goodwill, all the effort to try to develop a relationship with Russia, That was all just thrown away last week. And Trump's playing stupid. He's playing naive. He's, oh, I didn't know anything about it. Just like Trump said he didn't know anything about the assassination attempt on Putin the week before, when Putin's helicopter was landing in Kursk and was hit by a swarm of Ukrainian drones. How could they have known? What intelligence services on this planet have a full array of satellites and are tracking these things? And who would share such things with Zelensky and Kiev? It must not be the United States, because they're the only ones who have the capability of getting all that information and positioning and so forth. And again, Trump's playing stupid. He's saying, I didn't hear anything about that. So that raises a few questions. One is, Trump, and we'll get on to Elon Musk in a minute, and their spat, the fallout, the end of the honeymoon, the bromance is over. But Trump goes around repeating the same type of lines all the time. One of his famous lines is, this war would never have happened, if I was president. This is Biden's war. It's Biden's war. Biden was weak. Sleepy Joe was asleep. He didn't know what was going on. Okay, that's been Donald Trump's tired old shtick since how long? Okay, so that's not very credible anymore, because Trump is president, and there's just another nuclear provocation that he claims that our CIA, our NSA knew nothing about. So you can't have it both ways, Donald, okay? You're either president, you're either the commander-in-chief, or you're like Sleepy Joe, and you're just there as a figurehead, as a sort of clown-type character to kind of entertain the press. Like, you get into a nuclear exchange with a country like Russia, you slip into some kind of a quagmire, and you had no idea how you got there, then you're not doing your job. And quite frankly, you should evaluate whether you should be in that job. Because you've sold this bill of goods to the American people and the world that you're a peace president and you want to stabilize things, but nothing on the ground indicates that there's been any change at all in the first 4 months of your administration. Mind you, this is a war you said you'd end in 24 hours. Well, 24 hours, wow. It's getting on a bit. So you clearly don't understand the nature of this conflict. You can't articulate, neither can any of your envoys, the Minsk Accords and how that broke down, the UN Security Council resolution, unanimous resolution 2202. Can you repeat and understand if you memorized any of these things? Because that's how we got here. Oh, and the Maidan coup. I've never heard you talk about that either. The Maidan coup, where Ukrainian hard right with our intelligence services shot Maidan protesters, snipers, and blamed it on Yanukovych. And that helped to oust the president and create the coup that we have plenty of evidence of, the communications between Victoria Nuland and Jeffrey Pyatt, plus all the speeches by John McClain leading up to that in Kiev with neo-Nazis. So we don't need any more evidence. It's been fully debunked. That came out in Ukrainian court testimonies. That's all documented, by the way. So anything on that? How we got there? The United States is responsible for this war, not Russia. The United States is. Are you going to man up and own that? Or just play stupid, like none of that ever happened? And it's not mine. It was, that was Obama's coup. Maidan was Obama's coup. I had nothing to do with it. Just like it's Biden's war, it's everybody else's responsibility. You're the president of the United States, so own it. Own it. Other countries around the world don't care that the president is different. They just see USA causing the war, causing the coup d'etat, doing the proxy war, leading NATO, using NATO to get around Congress to start wars all over the world. Doesn't matter who's president. It's USA. It's Uncle Sam. You're Uncle Sam now. Biden was Uncle Sam before. Obama was Uncle Sam before that. George W. Bush was Uncle Sam before that. Bill Clinton was Uncle Sam when Uncle Sam bombed Yugoslavia and changed the borders of Europe, which nobody talks about, right? Because that didn't happen, apparently. So all these things matter because all of these actions by the United States and NATO build up the sort of resume and the lack of credibility when it comes to Washington trying to explain itself, especially to another nuclear superpower, okay? So I don't see any honest conversations coming from this White House and this administration. I just don't. And until we see that coming out, there's no chance that any of these negotiations will be successful, because you can't have serious negotiations when you can't even articulate the reality of the current situation and the truth about how you got there, and owning up to your country's role, our role, United States, our role, Britain, NATO, Europe, all these sort of stakeholders in this proxy war have to be honest about how things progressed and got to the place where they are now. I don't see any indication that's going to happen. So I articulated that on a couple of excellent podcasts with Danny Haiphong, on a panel with Ray McGovern and Colonel Larry Wilkinson. That's at 21stcenturywire.com. And also Daniel Davis, Deep Dive. So we articulated a lot of these important points, and on the UK Column News. So we're getting these ideas across to people. And so, I'm still waiting. I'm probably going to be holding our breath when it comes to this White House. So here's the big story. Okay. MAGA is fraying at the seams. Okay. MAGA, it's fraying at the seams. It is teetering on the edge of collapse. Now, this spat between Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and in the meantime, you've got Netanyahu running a genocide in Gaza, getting the green light from Steve Witkoff to do what he wants. And Vladimir Putin's off to the side, basically deliberating about what to do about the United States. And it's lousy, fake negotiations, okay? It's good that they're talking. That's a consolation prize, that they're talking. But is that enough? Is it enough just to talk when you're doing things behind the back of Russia to basically sabotage any chance of peace? Okay. And Trump can't play stupid forever and say, I didn't know. It's just a lame excuse. Absolutely a lame excuse. Kind of pathetic, actually, for a U.S. president to play stupid like that. It's just, what can we say? So the Musk-Trump situation, we'll bring this up here. There it is. Honeymoon's over. How did this happen? This is an interesting exercise, actually. Now, we warned about this. If you watch this show and you've seen me on other interviews from November, December, I said that Doge won't last. It won't make it till the end of the first year. And Vivek and Elon will be long gone. Of course, it happened a lot faster. Vivek bolted pretty quick, I think late January. He saw how stupid this was, and Elon's basically fled. Now, we did a report at 21st Century Wire on Doge a week ago, and it was devastating. Okay, Martin De Silva, a great article at 21 Wire. A lot of people contacted us and were just blown away by how bad Doge is. Like, it didn't save any money at all. Okay, almost nothing, like a drop in the bucket if they're lucky. But the cost of Doge ended up being a lot more. It's going to end up being a lot more in terms of having to rehire all these federal workers, because Musk doesn't seem to know what he was doing, and neither does Trump, quite frankly. You can't blame Elon Musk, okay? Donald Trump is the president, so it is his responsibility. But, Trump likes to blame everybody but himself. The buck doesn't stop with Trump. That's the problem with this CEO. And this is why Donald Trump is an extremely weak leader. Do you bring somebody into the government like this, somebody who paid his way in, Elon Musk spent $270 million. Okay. He bought his way in. You bring him in, you make him the centerpiece of your administration. Okay. You ferry him around like a trophy, with the rockets, the tech, Tesla, blah, blah, blah. Allow him to use his 3-year-old or 5-year-old or whoever, his son X, and use that as sort of more public relations for Elon. And so you allow all that, Donald Trump, and then you get your knickers in a twist when Elon doesn't agree with you on the big, beautiful bill. So you guys, both of you deserve each other because both of you, of course, handled this terribly. And so you both deserve any negative fallout or any problems that come from this. And there's going to be many problems. They've already begun. So how did this come to pass? We'll just give you the abridged version, folks. Okay. This, the big, beautiful bill. And so here's Musk, quote tweeting his surrogate, Ian Miles Chong. The president versus Elon, who wins? My money's on Elon. Trump should be impeached, and J.D. Vance should become president, says Ian Miles Chong, and Musk says yes. So this is after Musk began criticizing Trump over the big, beautiful bill that's going to add a couple trillion to the deficit. Okay. I mean, firstly, I'll say to Elon, what did you think? Do you know anything about the U.S. government? It seems like you know nothing. You just discovered deficit spending causes inflation. You just discovered that. We noticed from your Twitter account in the last 6 months. Congratulations. Okay. You yourself have been a beneficiary of deficit spending. Okay. All those subsidies, all of the contracts, that's all paid for with deficit spending. All of it. You are the richest man in the world because of deficit spending by the U.S. government. And you weren't protesting before you discovered this and started tweeting about it in October or November, something like that. And then Doge was created to give the illusion that something was going to happen. And you claimed you could save $2 trillion before May. Okay. May is gone. And so are you. That's interesting how that worked out. So then you downgraded the 2 trillion to $1 trillion, then you downgraded that to 150 billion. And if you really audit the 150 billion of savings, it's not quite clear exactly what's there. It could be much less. Might be sort of down in the sort of 60 to 80 billion. Okay. That's a big difference from 2 trillion. I mean, I'm no math genius. I didn't even pass trigonometry. But I can tell you that 80 billion is a lot less than 2 trillion. And there's an old saying in business, don't overpromise and underdeliver. I thought you were a great businessman, so you'd already know that. But anyway, in politics, that's deadly. Okay, that is deadly. And I won't even bring up on screen something I tweeted in December about Elon and how politics would be his undoing. So he got kind of drunk on the power. You remember all this? You remember all that carry on? All the jumping up and down at the time. We told you that was fake. Like the energy was fake. Okay, it was all a put on. And a lot of MAGAs got upset saying, "Oh no, Pat, they're bros now. This is a new coalition." And I was like, "You guys don't understand what you're talking about." Okay, this is totally superficial. And turns out, of course, we were right. I have to pull the clips. I said that back in November, December, and January in many different podcasts and on this show as well. So I've said it many, many times. So we'll try to pull those clips. But nonetheless, so we'll go back to the progression here. So then Elon basically responds there, and time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. This is the real reason why they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT, Donald J. Trump. So that's pretty much the nuclear option. I mean, not that there's much in that everyone knows Trump's on the flight logs. Everyone knows that he is connected with Epstein. We'll talk more about that in the second part of the show, we know all that, but we even got the footage as well, which we'll show in Overdrive, of Trump partying with Epstein in 1992. Big house party, probably at Epstein's mansion or somebody's mansion, maybe Les Wexner's mansion. Anyway, Donald was a bit of a card, bit of a dandy back in the day, but is there anything incriminating there? Doubtful. That would have come out a long time ago. Likely even before he became president, truth be known. So, but anyway, that's a declaration of war. And so then it escalates. Donald Trump responds. Elon was wearing thin, quote unquote. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate and forced everyone to buy electric cars nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do. And he just went crazy. That's technically not true. In Elon's defense, Elon publicly said he didn't want the EV mandate, didn't want subsidies for Tesla. Even though he took them and benefited from them, he said he didn't need them. That was in 2021 or 2022, can't remember. And then again, made the same statement later. So Trump, probably not correct there, unless Elon was lying to the media and he really was upset. Anyway, the easiest way to save money, says Trump, in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's government subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised Biden didn't do it. Okay, so this is, I mean, for a U.S. president to get to say that after they were both parading each other around as best buddies. Okay, it's not a good look. And this is the thing about Trump. Trump doesn't know it. These are two monstrous egos, Musk and Trump. And Trump thinks he's showing strength by publicly executing and throwing his former allies under the bus. But what does this really mean? It means that anybody of weight, of significant substance, someone who can bring a lot to the table, why would they want to go into any kind of partnership agreement or want to be orbiting planet Trump? Because he just basically couldn't manage a relationship with the richest man in the world, who paid $270 million towards his campaign. This is a bad look. Okay, this is the equivalent, if you're an employee, of publicly trashing your employer after you get fired, pretty much guaranteeing that nobody's going to want to hire you again. Okay, it's just a bad look. Even if it's true, it's not a good look. And that's something you'd expect from a, quote, CEO. Like, we're beginning to wonder whether Donald Trump is a competent CEO, and how much of this is just image and reality television. Just like a lot of people are beginning to wonder, is Elon Musk really running 4 companies? Because you can't be taking drugs and playing video games all day and shagging untold, or creating, how many baby mamas does Elon Musk? I mean, where is he really running all these top and world leading champions industries? How can you do all these things at the same time? So, I mean, legitimately, it's worth asking. And be running Doge, which was doing nothing, or it was trying to do something, or it appeared to be doing something, but wasn't really getting the results. Not anything near the hype. Okay. So, and apparently working for free. So absconding from Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, maybe one more company, I don't know, 2 more companies, maybe 3, who knows? So, I mean, how much of this is credible? It's hard to know. So anyway, that's the nuclear exchange between Trump and Elon. Another escalation. Trump says the easiest way to save money is to cancel the contracts. SpaceX. So Elon quote tweets, in light of the president's statement about the cancellation of government contracts, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon X spacecraft immediately. This has huge implications. Okay. Massive implications. So, I mean, so Elon's basically, he's calling Trump's bluff and going to see what the reaction is. You're talking about Dragon spacecraft project brings astronauts to the International Space Station. So who used to do that job? Well, this is the thing that Trump doesn't think about. And, all this stuff about, the United States, America first, MAGA, make America great again. Well, so you can't pick up the astronauts up there now, and you can't bring new ones up. Who did the job before that? Well, actually, Russia did. So now we're back to square one on the okay, on the left hand side, the Soyuz rockets bringing who had been transporting American astronauts. The Russians were doing that for us up to the International Space Station until they canceled that, and Elon started bringing them up with the Dragon X, and SpaceX started to take over. I don't know what the details of that, what phase they're on that project or whatever, but there's Putin just laughing. So now Trump's got to go groveling to Putin to do the taxi service again to the International Space Station. I mean, Donald, do you think about this stuff? Donald's not a deep thinker, clearly, because if he was, he would be thinking about this stuff. So now you got to go grovel back to the Russians because of this war you're having that was totally avoidable with your old buddy, your BBF, Elon Musk. So, I mean, this is just ridiculous at some point. And, there's other aspects to this that are, kind of obvious to anybody that's been following politics for a long time. One of them is that it's pretty clear that both Donald Trump and Elon Musk aren't very good at politics. That's one of the only things you can kind of deduce from all of this, because for anybody else, this would just be a no-brainer. But these guys, for some reason, unbeknownst, maybe it's just because they're so tied up and heavily invested in their, I don't know, their images, their public image. It's hard to know. But most people would love to have these problems. My gosh, what do I do? Someone's going to throw $250 million at my campaign, and I can surf off the glory of the richest man in the world being in my administration, etc. If you have any differences, and again, Elon Musk is the same. So he's good with gadgets and software, maybe, but not good with people. Socially, politically, he doesn't seem to have much coherence. Elon had a couple of big L's. Elon lost. He poured millions of dollars into this Wisconsin Supreme Court primary election. Said it was the most important thing in the world, and the future of the U.S. hinges upon it. And he lost. Okay, big L for Elon. And then Elon I don't know how much money he plowed into the AfD, and said that the German election was the most important consequential election on the planet, and they lost, or they didn't get into power. And then he attacked the Reform Party and Nigel Farage. That didn't go well either. He was on the kind of losing end of that argument. So Elon's busy racking up L's in politics, and he's throwing his money around like George Soros. So he kind of fancied himself as being George Soros of the far right. That's basically what Elon's doing. You can see he's got a black eye here. He said, the press asked him, how'd you get a black eye? And he said, oh, my 3-year-old son gave me a black eye. I mean, if you really believe that, unless his 3-year-old son could wield a hammer, I don't see how that's possible. He seems like the type of person that's very erratic. And if he's on ketamine or whatever drugs, Adderall, who knows, cocktail of drugs, and very arrogant and very flippant, he's probably going to piss off a lot of people. He could end up getting clocked. I can see that is very possible with Elon Musk. He'll push things to the limit. He'll definitely be in the wrong, insist he's in the right, and end up basically getting a left hook. And looks like whoever hit him was left-handed. Looks like. So that's Think about that for a moment. Who was it? Was it Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent? There's a rumor around that they had a physical altercation at the White House. Okay, so it's not a good look. And then to blame it on your 3-year-old son, again, using your son, as we said before, we said it months ago, he's using his kid as a human shield to give him the respectable veneer of being a family man. This is not a family man. We can tell you that probably the furthest thing from a family man in America right now is Elon Musk. So I'm just saying it's not normal. But anyway, so we warned you about this. We warned you about Doge. We warned you about the drug use. And now Elon is politically homeless. Okay. He's done something amazing. He's pulled off quite a feat. He basically has pissed off the left because he stabbed them in the back. Okay. This is a guy who voted for Obama twice, Hillary Clinton, and I don't know if he voted in the Obama elections, but I definitely know he voted for Hillary and Joe Biden in 2020. I mean, that debacle. Okay. So he was riding the Democrats because of the Green New Deal, electric cars, climate change, all that nonsense. Okay. That's how he is the richest man in the world, on the back of the climate change hoax. Fundamentally, yes. Okay. It's the electric car was sold as something that was going to change the climate. Completely impossible. Just all they've done is displace the emissions. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a funny argument, but it's also just such a fraud. But anyway, so it's hard to identify what his conservative traits are. Okay, Trump's an economic nationalist, wants to do everything in America and wants to kill global trade. It's what it looks like Trump's doing, is killing global trade. Elon Musk is all about global trade. Okay, Trump is taking an anti-China stance. Elon Musk is got a huge business in China. Tesla makes a lot of money in China. So they're at odds there. Trump's against the Green New Deal. Elon Musk is wealthy because of the Green New Deal. So family values, where is Elon on any of that? Nowhere, basically. Trump claims to be a Christian, claims he loves the Bible, courts the evangelicals, that sort of thing. Big Christian Zionist, supposedly, or definitely Israel supporter. Elon Musk, don't know, he could be an atheist. It's unclear. He seems to, some of his interviews, he made comments about how it's impossible there was a God, and he gave sort of a rationale for that. So strange. Elon Musk is a transhumanist. So he's a globalist and a transhumanist. So that's pretty much the diametric opposite of conservatism. But did you notice how all the MAGAs got up and just worshiping Elon and the Cybertruck? It's like everybody, all the MAGAs wanted a Cybertruck when Elon wrote the big check out and did the sort of corporate IPO dance on stage there. Launch of the new Trump robot. He's jumping up on stage doing the IPO, the corporate excitement, fake corporate energy. That's what we call it. FCE, fake corporate energy. So, so I mean, it's hard. And then the ultimate debacle came with the white genocide hoax. Okay, where Elon convinced Trump and Marco Rubio in the State Department that there was a white genocide happening in South Africa. Of course, there wasn't. But they totally took the bait, invited the South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa, to the White House, and it was totally embarrassing for Trump. Not at the time, but I think the blowback from it afterwards must have been embarrassing for Trump, that he got basically hoodwinked by Musk on this. And of course, Musk was trying to settle a score because he couldn't get a monopoly on Starlink in South Africa, etc. And he was claiming that Ramaphosa is racist. You know, the post-apartheid South Africa is a racist country. That's a bit rich coming from a pro-apartheid white South African that benefited greatly from apartheid, and so did his family. In fact, probably provided a fair amount of those benefits translated into Elon Musk's, the capitalization of some of his startups that started his empire. Just saying, that's just a reality. So Trump basically hitched his wagon to Elon. Elon hitched his wagon to Trump. So Elon's going to have this painful aspect to this split, because Elon's brand went galactic because of his proximity to power. Okay, proximity to power. Politics, Elon might be the richest man in the world. He might have, tons of money and clout, and he bought X, and he turned it into his private megaphone. Okay, he's got all that, but Trump has 70 or 80 million Americans that voted for him. So that's a different type of power. That's populist power. So Elon accrued some of that by attaching himself to Trump, and he paid for that. Okay, it wasn't free. He paid for it. So the ROI for Elon was it catapulted his brand into the stratosphere in a very short space of time. But it wasn't sustainable because Elon's not a very good politician. He doesn't understand politics at all. And Doge is a good example of that naivety. He doesn't understand how Washington works. He only understands one aspect of it, which is, securing government contracts and lobbying for subsidies. Okay, so from that point of view, he understands it. But in terms of operations, civil service, how Washington burns through money, how every single federal dollar is somebody's private fiefdom in some state, including every single bit of pork attachment to that big, beautiful bill. Elon just doesn't, he doesn't understand that. I probably learned that in a fundamental way as a sophomore at university, because in my political science class, my professor handed me a book that was 120 pages long. It's called How Washington Really Works. And I read that as a 19-year-old, and I understood a lot at that point. And that I learned how Washington works. And it's the same when I read that book in 1989, it's still relevant today. Okay. Elon didn't know any of that, doesn't understand any of that, and just sort of worked out the deficit spending causes inflation. He just worked that out apparently in October. So some big epiphany he had. So great, wonderful. And so these two guys, and Trump doesn't have much in terms of conservative principles either. So between the two of these guys, there's no principles. Okay. Their principles are power and money. That's the principles these two have. Okay. Let me repeat that. The principles that these two share, that they understand, is power and money. There's no conservative values. There's no ideology at all. It is an ad hoc, make it up as you go along, guided by power and money. That's it. Power, money, and clout, and media clout. They understand that very well. Trump understands clout, media, power, and money as well as anybody. Okay? And so does Musk. He understands these things. So from that point of view, they were speaking each other's language. They got along very good on that basis. Okay? And they both used each other. It's kind of a symbiotic, parasitic relationship, basically. And it all went south because for whatever reason, Elon's unstable, Trump's unstable. So if there's any disagreement by Elon or challenged Trump or gave a alternative opinion, he couldn't keep a lid on it. Then it's just a matter of time before Trump goes to Truth Social or Twitter and lobs an insult at his former ally, which Trump has done many times to former allies. And once the insult comes with Trump, that's basically the beginning. That's the warning shot for the public execution. That's how Trump operates. This is why Donald Trump can't really build sustainable coalitions. He doesn't really know how to reach out and to bring adversaries into his tent in a fundamental and meaningful way. This is why he, in the long run, won't get any buy-in on any policy. But the thing about the big, beautiful bill is, okay, the big, beautiful bill, if you actually look at a breakdown of it, it is the typical Washington omnibus bill. It's got everything and the kitchen sink in there. And what this bill basically is, besides being a massive gravy train for everybody and anybody in Washington, okay, it concentrates power in the executive branch. That's the most important thing. That's why it passed. That's why enough Democrats were behind it, because there's plenty in there for them. Not just money, power. Power. See, the Democrats know, just like the Republicans know, whatever power is concentrated in the executive branch through executive orders or terrible pieces of legislation like this, that when they get into power, they will keep those powers. So the Democrats aren't protesting Trump's concentration of power in the executive branch because they're going to use it when they get into power next in 2028 or 2032 or whatever. Likewise, the Republicans weren't really protesting Biden's concentration of power or Obama's, because they were like, well, we're going to use that when we get in, and they have. So they're the winners. Washington's the winner with the big, beautiful bill. Washington wins. Who's the loser? America's the loser. Our constitutional Republican form of government, with our officially 3 and unofficially 4 branches of government, we are the losers, because there's more and more power being devolved away from Congress and into the executive branch. And it, by the looks of it, now we have the biggest, most wealthy corporations in the world have direct access to the executive branch. Corporativism, otherwise defined by Benito Mussolini as fascism. If the shoe fits, what more do we need to say? So that's the reality of it. That's the big, beautiful bill. Read between the lines. Okay. The only people who are saying anything like what I'm saying now, there's nobody in the conservative on the right, all the fake conservative media, Con Inc. Okay. The only people talking of what I'm saying are people like Ron Paul and Daniel McAdams, and maybe 1 or 2 others. Maybe Thomas Massey or somebody, who knows. Very few, because very few care even to comment on these things anymore. Whoever's not in the political circus will see and be able to comment on these things. Okay, most people have no idea and, quite frankly, don't care. Okay, so that's what's going on. So, and also, it's hard to know with Musk. And it's difficult to know. Is Elon a leftist? Because he uses leftist tactics. He is the epitome of woke right. But is he a liberal LARPing as a conservative just to align himself with power in the Trump administration? But then again, Elon has these far right proclivities, openly racist, okay? And look at his Twitter output is shocking. This types of tweets he's trafficking in. And then the whole white genocide thing was just totally over the top. So it's hard to know if is he really far right? Was he LARPing as a liberal, playing the Green New Deal game just to make the money and gain all the status and clout that went with that, and align himself with the neoliberal establishment and Davos, but underneath he's really a kind of apartheid, far right, hardcore racist, and an authoritarian and himself a fascist and a transhumanist technocrat. Well, we know he's a technocrat. We know he's a transhumanist. So it's hard to know with Elon. And again, maybe there's no explanation. And it defaults back to what I said before. Okay, these are people that have no principles. There's nothing. They're totally devoid. Both Elon and Trump have no principles. Okay, there's no discernible ideology other than the fealty and the desire to wield power and align themselves with money. Okay, money and power. Money and power. Those are the only attributes I see. I don't see any real philosophical, ethical principles. I definitely see no coherent political ideology for either of these two people. But they're able to fool the right, which, quite frankly, is not too difficult these days. The intellectual wing of the conservative or the right, it's in a terminal IQ free fall at the moment. Look at the commentary from these LA riots, okay? They're freaking out, calling it an invasion, and, saying Soros is delivering pallets of bricks through Amazon Prime. I mean, it's just stupid. But so the discourse on the right is getting crazy. We'll talk about the LA riots maybe in Overdrive with our colleagues. But, bottom line is Elon played this terribly. Trump played it terribly. And, these guys really deserve each other. I mean, they really do. And, the fallout for this is bad for Starlink. Could be problematic for Starlink. Could be problematic for SpaceX. Definitely not good for the economy, which is already stagnating because of Trump's ridiculous tariff wars. Okay. And tons and tons of problems. By the way, Starlink provides the backbone for U.S. destabilization efforts, deep state proxy wars around the world. Okay. So these two people need each other. So everybody needs these things. And so how long are they going to be at war? Are they going to kiss and make up? We shall see. We shall see. Well, let's take a break with the network. We'll talk more about this on the other side. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. This is the Sunday Wire. We will be back shortly. Stay with us.
Brothers and sisters, we're being divided. Don't believe what they say. Hold on to your soul. Everyone divided in an echo chamber hole, saying that the enemy doesn't have a soul. Listening to media, tell them what to think. says toss. That's just an illusion, a ghost with which they dance. On the floor of hatred, love doesn't have a chance. You think this, I think that, but who cares anyway? Most becoming puppets being told the words to say. In the days of outrage, void of charity, held hostage by opinion in a cage they never see. The ego deals in conflict, love is hardly free. Focus on the difference between both you and me. Divide 'em with opinion, judge it ruthlessly. Make sure you get them angry at what the others see. Beyond all these opinions, you and I are one, but media won't tell you that they'd rather see you run. Lead with hate and anger and cacophonies of rage, to judge each other evil, conflicts re-engage. Keep the zombies clicking as the engine revs and screams. The engine of division is the devil's best machine. But imagine for a second being led a different way. A message of forgiveness and love brought every day. Divide 'em with opinion, judge it ruthlessly. Make sure you get them angry at what the others see. Divide and conquer, conquer and divide. When they lead with hatred, they don't want you to survive. Divide and conquer, conquer and divide. When they lead with hatred, they don't want you to survive. They don't want you to survive. They don't want you to survive. They don't want you to
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the profound honor of addressing this great citadel of democracy for the fourth time.
And thanks for bombs that wreck Gaza one more time, for helping me pin it on Iran, that's the crime. Let me spin you a tale, talk you in its bedtime.
Our world is in upheaval.
We brand our foes as evil, it's our goal to spell. Labels ready-made, we wield them well. Terrorists, anti-Semites, animals all on sale. Every option laid out, no detail is too frail. Let me share my plan, it's all about me. Survival's the goal, friends, just let me be. Uncle Sam sends dollars, bombs, arms, endlessly. Through twisted lenses, he pretends to see clearly. I could quote the Bible, but that's just for show. It's occupation versus civilization, as you know. Accusations by confession, the truth's on a low. Decades of incarceration, yet you clap for the show.
We win, they lose.
I can't breathe anymore, this noose is too tight. Just not as I blame in the dead of the night. We're criminals in truth, but that's our plight. Gentlemen in the headlines, painted in white.
Suddenly, heaven turned into hell.
We raised the homes, gave the order to shell. Bomb schools, mosque, hotels, there's more to tell. Not just that, hospitals fell as well. Thank you, madams and sirs, for funding this hell.
I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel.
Think this ain't real, it's all colonial play. Joe helps me claim defense in the broad daylight. Good that he is, though his words sway, supporting me, even when his talk's not right. They're killed with rage, Arab women, kids in their prime. Gaza's an open-air cage, living on borrowed time. More deaths on the way, they've sworn the crime. So we pin badges of courage in this bloody rhyme. On the God's green earth, am I ranting about? I'll take you on a ride, no doubt. But can't lie about genocide, that's out. Humanity's priceless, funds are what it's about. They call it occupation, a regime of hate. A racist dream built on a bloodthirsty state. Causing death, grief and pain at every gate. Yet I stand here and you still wait. And what I'm doing, I stand up in disguise, playing the victim, that's my prize. But ouch, they're burning me in effigy skies.
And I want to say thank you, America.
I love you and your hamburgers, that's no bluff. My soldiers loved you as pampers, just enough. No more Octobers, but we had our stuff. And we're the symbol of heroic grace. Not apartheid or racist in any place. Butter wouldn't melt in my mouth, no trace. From north to south, where the embrace face.
They call Israel a colonialist state.
I think I'm kidding, grab the Times, take a read. Ask the White House, they're trying to lead, but they need more training to follow my creed.
That Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America.
Think of Iran, my arms go weak, my mouth goes sour. Let's find a new land to devour. Their might threatens our tower, hour by hour. Victory's near, but is it on my side? Defeating the enemies where I can find, but that's not in me. So prayers I need and tax dollars, so my plans can proceed. We aim to make Gaza unlivable, our Nobel Prize. Then find a new place to colonize. Take the world back from the infidel guys. Make this region a 5-star paradise. Thank you, my lies have reached their demise.
Israel does not seek to resettle Gaza.
My lies have reached their demise. Thank you, my lies.
Unpainted. All of the games they left unplayed. All the laughter in the playground. All of the arts they never made. Ghost faces of a million Palestinian children. All of those voices left in silence, all with their names written in kind. Lest their bodies pulled from rubble, lifeless empty dolls to find. Ghost faces of a million Palestinian children. What are the songs they've never written? What are the words they'll never sing? And the darkness of the nightmare, inescapable that rings. The ghost faces of a million Palestinian children. the guardians of the Palestinian children. To respect our obligation, every creed and every nation, 'cause every soul deserves protection. Save the Palestinian children. Save the Palestinian children.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sunday where I had extended break there. We just had a few technical difficulties with our platform. We won't be able to connect our guests, unfortunately. The only option we could have is to basically end the stream and then start up a new live stream in 15 or 20 minutes. That's going to be probably difficult to do for the current setup that we have. So we may be able to do that in the future if we're prepared for it, but we're just not prepared this week, unfortunately. So there's nothing we can do in that respect. So apologies to our colleagues at ACR. I know Hesher and Ruckus were ready to come on, and this is going to be a great segment, but unfortunately something has happened with our service provider as preventing us from onboarding guests. I can't imagine what that would be or why. So we'll just have to carry on, and we'll cover the same stories as best we can. And we'll also go to comments from our listeners on the different streams. We'll bring on some of those comments shortly as well. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. This is episode 550 of the Sunday Wire. And we'll bring on to, I mentioned, the whole Epstein Trump story, Elon threatening that, or blowing the whistle, as it were, that Trump was in the Epstein files. And so just so people know, yes, there is a history there. There they are in 1992. There's Donald. His hair was kind of funny back then as well. So this is a long-running issue for Trump. But yeah, he looks like he's having a good time there. Definitely likes blondes. And Jeff is there. Jeffrey Epstein, 1992, was a man about town, just basically becoming the Svengali that he was, the Israeli intelligence mogul and the U.S. intelligence subcontractor, or whoever. There's Jeff right there in the middle, the little guy in the light blue shirt between Trump and that 7-footer. There's Jeff. Yep. So yeah, they seem to know each other pretty well. I mean, it's not like, oh, I know him, I met him a couple of times. Trump's been on his jet, maybe up to 7 times. Don't know if he's been to Love Island or not, but they seem to be pretty chummy, pretty pally there. And yeah, where is Jeff, by the way? Where is Jeff? Is Jeff in witness protection? Good question. Good question. Did he actually die at the federal prison in New York? And why did the CCTV cameras stop working? So how could Kash Patel have known that he definitely killed himself if that bit of the tape's missing? A lot of unanswered questions there, and it seems like we saw Dan Bongino and Kash Patel on the interviews, and it seemed like deer caught in the headlights. So there's something going on with this story that there's some missing details. If we knew them, it would probably make all perfect sense. But we don't quite know, so we just have to speculate. But definitely the whole thing doesn't add up. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get some answers at some point. But let's look at what's going on that we need to know about in terms of the Gaza Flotilla, first and foremost. We'll bring that up on screen. Now, the Gaza Flotilla, basically the first one, we had the attorney Frank Romano on the program before, and he talked about the drones bombing the first one, much bigger boat out of Malta. Got hit by an Israeli drone attack. Of course, no condemnation from the U.S. or anybody. So the Freedom Flotilla is now very close. It's now very close. So go to their X feed and you'll get updates there. Okay, they're getting very close. Let's show you how close. I think we can get a we'll get their GPS up on screen so you can see exactly where they are. Let's get we've got a live feed from the Garmin GPS tracker on the boat, which they've made publicly available. So that's good. Here's the live tracker. Bring this up on screen. Everybody can see that. There it is. So let's just zoom out and look at where they are. Okay. So this was the last recorded position. So they've passed Alexandria. So they're off the coast of Egypt. And you can see the through line straight to Gaza right there. So not too far. They're very close, as you can see. Probably we're talking about 150 miles or something like that, if this is in fact accurate. Okay. So we shall see. But so they'll be very soon entering Israeli controlled waters in this area here. And they have a 60-foot boat, which is carrying essential supplies. And Israel's threatened them, of course. Israel likes to attack unarmed people. This is one of their specialties. They excel at that, actually. So this is interesting. So they get to Gaza. There'll be lots of Palestinians waiting for them. Very happy to see them. Very brave of them. But a lot of people are making fun of these people, making jokes about them. Some big podcasters are saying that they should be fish food, basically. So what makes this one unique is that this particular one, there is a very high profile person on board the boat, okay? And it is none other than Greta Thunberg. Now, if you guys have followed 21st Century Wire over the years, you'll know that I'm one of the biggest critics of Greta. Obviously, I'm very skeptical about the whole climate change farrago. Have been from the beginning. I started covering that in 2007, 2008. Attended the COP21, I think, at Copenhagen when Obama was president. That one collapsed, so I covered that as well. So and then Greta came on the scene in about 2015 or so, 2016, somewhere around there, the beginning of Trump's presidency, and they really used her as a figurehead. We're talking about the Greenpeace crowd, the whole climate, the IPCC crowd. Greta was kind of a mascot for that. So I'm very critical of Greta. However, Greta Thunberg is, in what I can see, is absolutely sincere and absolutely understands this issue extremely well. And I give her tons of credit for putting herself out. And the people I've spoke to in that circle, people say, oh, her handlers are basically sending her in there. Listen, her old handlers are horrified. They're horrified that she's chosen this issue, okay? This was not an issue that they wanted her to basically get onto because it's hugely controversial. And we've got a clip here. We'll bring her on. This is from CNN. So I think they're talking via cell phone connection. So there's a little bit of a delay on the vocals or whatnot, but this is CNN, and she's 22 years old. Okay, she's not a child. She's a young woman now, and she seems to she knows the situation she's getting in. She understands the issue and she understands the risks. And let's play this. Listen to Greta on CNN with one of the other activists here. Let's listen to this.
All those scenarios were included in our risk assessments that we have made prior to getting out on this mission. And of course, we know that it's a very risky mission, and we know that previous experiences with flotillas like this has resulted in attacks, interceptions, violence, and even cases of death. But of course, none of those risks are even remotely as high as to the risk that Palestinians are facing every day just by trying to survive. And right now, as you said, the mission is to get to Gaza to be able to deliver and distribute the humanitarian aid that we're carrying. but we are well aware of the risks going there. But we are aiming for that.
So you were talking, Greta, about the risk assessment and being prepared for any eventuality and any scenario. So let me ask you this. How far are you willing to go? Because we don't know what kind of confrontation you could face. We just know that you've been warned.
Yeah, and of course the uncertainties are very big here. We have gone out on this mission knowing the risks. But again, not saying anything in times of injustice, when we are facing genocide, to be silent is by far a bigger risk than getting on this mission. And we are preparing to respond in a non-violent way. We are 12 peaceful volunteers on this mission. We are not carrying weapons. We are carrying food, sanitary products, medical supplies, things that are necessary to get into Gaza that have been prevented by Israel from getting into Gaza. And we are sailing on international waters bringing humanitarian aid. If they stop this humanitarian aid, that is a crime. We are not doing anything wrong here. We are just doing our part to continue to try to break the siege on Gaza and to open up a humanitarian corridor.
Okay, so there she is, Greta Thunberg, aboard the Madeleine. We've got some of their graphics as well. There it is. I mean, it's a beautiful, kind of in the style of Art Deco stroke, sort of mid-20th century kind of war poster. You can see the Israeli drones flying above their sailboat there. Now, they had a proper boat that was packed with supplies, big boat, and Israel bombed it with drones in international waters. Totally illegal. That's going to end up in court. We spoke to Frank Romano a couple weeks ago. He's lodging legal cases on that, I think. So we'll see another war crime by Israel. Surprise, surprise. So there's Greta. So look, the thing is, okay, you can disagree with Greta on the climate campaigns and the rhetoric and all of that sort of stuff. And there's a big degree of astroturfing there. No doubt about that. But on this issue, this is not a popular issue. There's no corporate machine behind her on this issue. There's the establishment are definitely behind Israel, the entire European establishment, the EU, van der Leyen, NATO, the Swedish government. Okay, only now are some of them starting to break away and kind of condemning Israel and using the word genocide. It's been 20 months. Okay, so kind of late. Okay, but anyway, she's been on this issue long before it was popular. Okay, so she's right up there on the front line. She's put herself on the at risk here. One of the last flotillas. Okay, I think 6 or 8 people were killed by the Israelis. They murdered the activists on the boat. Mm-hmm. They will kill them. They won't have any problem with that. And the U.S. government won't do a damn thing. And probably the European governments won't either. Because Israel is basically free to do whatever it wants to anybody, including kill them. So she's taking that risk. So I have big respect for that. I am 100% behind Greta and everybody else on that boat. It's very brave what they're doing. They're putting themselves out, just doing that journey. That's not an easy thing to do. To bring a boat full of supplies across the Mediterranean is not easy. Okay, it's not a motorized high-tech boat. There's literally the only thing they could get is a sailboat because the other one got bombed. The Conscience. We covered that a couple weeks ago. So she's doing that. I got big respect for it. So some people are making fun of her. And one of the people that's making fun of her is Joe Rogan. Okay, I'm going to play you a clip. This is very disturbing from Joe. I gave Rogan plaudits for having Dave Smith on so that he could rake Douglas Murray across the coals. And I thought Rogan did a good job mediating that. But he's just basically undone any of that goodwill by what he said here. I mean, just really crass, really disgusting. I mean, I could use some profanity here in response to what Rogan. I'm going to play you this clip, and he's there with a couple of these. I don't know what they are. These characters on here. I've never seen them before. Anyway, supposedly they're famous. Who knows? But so here he is. So he's basically taking the piss out of Greta. Okay. Now I will stop this intermittently to make comment, because there's so many just ridiculous things that are said here, which we'll have to intervene to sort of set straight. But so here's Joe Rogan, basically belittling Greta Thunberg. He sort of caveats it, but the insult already was lodged. So he's trying to do both sides and saying, yeah, but she could be, brave, but she's going to end up being fish food for the Israelis are going to turn her into fish food or something like that. I don't know what he said here. Let's listen to this.
Bro, that little how dare you girl?
Yeah.
How dare you? The climate change girl? The little autistic girl?
She's an
well,
adult
now
nobody
she's
cares.
free Palestine. She's singing things off her phone. Now she's at the front of a boat like George Washington, making its way to Gaza.
Whatever the environment,
Bro,
though.
it's like there she is.
Is
She's
the environment
like
done?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
She's got a nice boat. From the river to the rising sea levels.
She's going to
Not
fix
bad,
it.
dude.
She's going to break the
Hey,
Israeli
not bad.
naval
That's really
blockade.
great.
I'm working
I
on
should
it.
got more.
Bro, those IDF guys are going to turn her into cat food. They will light her up from the fucking shore before she's even close. They don't play no
Everyone's
games.
gonna.
They don't
Both
play
sides are gonna blow that boat.
Yeah, they don't play no
they
games.
see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the IDF's going to light her up. So let's just get this straight. I don't know who these other sort of middle-aged men are.
Maybe come together on who gets to blow it up. Maybe that
Smoking
can
cigars.
bridge the gap here.
She could be sacrificing.
Yeah.
her.
I mean, I'm not impressed. Not impressed with these guys at all. But anyway, so they're sitting there, chomping on their cigars. Okay, the 22-year-old girl. So the middle-aged men are making fun of a 22-year-old girl who is putting herself in the line of fire. Okay, the last Gaza Flotilla in 2010, the Mari Marvina. 6 or 8 people were executed by the IDF. Shot, point blank. They killed them. Okay, that happened. I know 2 of the people who were on that boat. So Joe Rogan doesn't know that. If he did, he wouldn't be making these comments. Okay, does he know that the last boat got hit by a drone? No, he doesn't. I tell you, he definitely doesn't. So he doesn't know anything about this story. And I really, it seems like he doesn't really care about the Gaza issue, not deeply in any meaningful way. If he did, he wouldn't be making such crass comments. So why these middle-aged men are sitting in their Austin, Texas studio making fun of this 22-year-old Swedish girl? She's the one with the balls. Greta Thunberg is the one with the balls. These are the UFC guys that go to fights, they lift weights, they flex, but you won't see them trying to break a humanitarian siege in a boat in the most dangerous kill zone on the planet. Okay? She's got the balls. Greta's got the balls, not Joe Rogan and his other middle-aged blowhards in the studio. Sorry, guys. What else can we say? I could say something right now that you all deserve, but I'll be polite. But you really don't deserve the politeness that I'm offering here. I just probably should be unleashing some expletives against you guys. But anyway, they carry on talking absolute rubbish. Here they go. We'll continue this.
Maybe that can bridge the gap here.
She could be sacrificing herself for all of us.
Well, she could be just the best person ever.
Nothing greener
Or
than killing yourself.
she could be someone that they take advantage of
How-
and use at the
God,
front of the
yeah.
line for every cause.
Ooh,
It's one of those.
She's a young kid, man. It's so crazy to take a young kid and like put them
Alter
as
their lives. This
Yeah.
is going to be your life now.
She's not a kid. She's 22 years old, Joe. She looks small, but she's 22. 22 is an adult, old enough to vote, college graduate age. Okay.
You're the face of X, Y, and Z.
This
You're
is
the face
this is
of-
this is
Even if it's not up to her, and it is obviously not obviously, but it could be out of her hands. She probably has handlers and political shit. But
Oh,
it's like,
for now.
at least she's
trying.
is
gainfully
trying.
employed.
So I don't know who this idiot is. Okay, this guy. If you take on the Palestinian issue, okay, it's very unpopular. Greta has took this on a year and a half ago. Okay, getting arrested, all the rest of it. She has profiles, so she'll be generally probably treated better than a lot of other people that are getting manhandled by the German police, etc. But you don't get any kudos or rewards for standing up to the Palestinians. You get crushed. You get called an anti-Semite. You get canceled. You get attacked. You get your travel revoked, like kneecap. You get your gigs canceled. They go after your career. Okay? That's the reality. So, Joe just came awake to the issue by platforming Dave Smith, a couple weeks ago, after 18 months. Just coming awake to the issue. Greta's been on that issue for a year and a half. While you're figuring out how you can play this without, drawing the eye of Sauron of the ADL and Jonathan Greenblatt because you're afraid of them. I mean, how Joe Rogan's uncancelable. He's got escape velocity. He's worth tens or hundreds of millions. He can tell the cancel, the ADL, and all the rest of the cancel machine to F off if he wanted to. Okay, respectfully. Just by covering this issue with some justice that it deserves. But instead, they're making fun of the person who's on the front line. Really, these guys are really a piece of work.
Well,
She's trying
who cares?
Yeah, gainfully
But this
employed.
is when we're going to Palestine. It's like those people going to the unchartable islands and be like, "Hi, I'm Christian."
Yeah.
Bro.
Spear you immediately.
Yeah, like North Sentinel Island.
Jesus, you've forsaken me.
Oh.
What an idiot. Okay, this guy with the Gilligan's Island hat. Okay, does he know that newsflash for the middle-aged podcasters? Okay, with the funny hats. Newsflash. There's Christians in Palestine. There's Christians in Palestine. They're the original Christians. They're the descendants of Jesus Christ. And they have lived together in harmony with the Muslim population there since time immemorial. No problems between them. So this clown on Rogan's podcast is framing it the way the Israelis like to frame it, which is that, the Palestinians are Islamic extremists and they're against Christianity. Okay, a lie. A lie. Israel has bombed and destroyed more historic Christian churches in the last 20 months, destroyed sacred sites, no pushback from the American Christian community because they're scared. And most of them are so ignorant they don't even know. These people are ridiculous and really, really disgusting. Ignorant and proud of their ignorance. This is one thing about one of the bad things. There's a lot of great things about America, many, many great things, but there's also a lot of bad things about America. One of the bad things and more unsavory things about America is I've never, of all the places I've traveled in the world and the people I've met and the cultures that I've interfaced with, I've never met a culture that's so proud of being ignorant than certain people in the United States. They're proud of their ignorance. They really couldn't care less if what they said was totally idiotic. They're almost proud of it. And it's the most bizarre thing, and it's a certain characteristic that is native to the United States and that this culture. And I have no idea why. It's probably worthy of a PhD. So if you're any of my right honorable friends listening, you may want to do a PhD thesis on this phenomenon.
Crazy.
bro.
Or the white social worker who goes into Baltimore ghetto. He's like, hey, everybody, I'm here. And they just beat the fuck out of him.
So the Palestinians aren't going to beat the F out of Greta and these people. They're going to welcome them with the hero's welcome that they absolutely deserve. They're very happy to see them. But these clowns on this Rogan podcast are so brainwashed. These people are so detached from reality and so confident in their ignorance. And they've got the biggest audience in the country, in the world, and they're feeding lies to their audience. Just provable lies, distortions, smears, okay? It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I could do a big FU right now, and it would be totally justified. But I just feel like I don't want to stoop down to that level. And it's very disappointing. Maybe Rogan's high. Maybe they're smoking pot, and then the cigar was just a little bit of theater to mask the fact they're smoking pot. Everything's a joke. I assure you it's not a joke, Joe. It's not a joke for these people. These people, Israel's been blocking food, medical aid, herding them into tents, and then bombing the tents. Okay, that's what's actually happening. That's what you guys are joking about. This is the thing that you're joking about. This is the thing being enabled by Donald Trump. Total annihilation. Okay, MAGA. And because of the propaganda, because of the gaslighting, most people in America have no idea what's going on. A few people do, but most don't. Most of them haven't worked out what's actually happening. What we've been reporting in recent days and weeks and months, okay? They have no idea. For Trump, this is the depth of Donald Trump's understanding. Beachfront property, Jared Kushner, would be great. We could do another Dubai on the Med, as long as we get rid of the native Palestinian population. That's basically where they're at. It's pretty sad. It's pretty shallow, but that's kind of what it is. And they're protecting people like this. These are war criminals. These are the worst people on the planet. These are the worst type of fascist killers, mass murderers, ethnic cleansers. These are people, low empathy people that are psychopaths, that are basically vaporizing and exterminating a whole people right in front of our eyes. And the best Joe Rogan and his buddies can do is to make crack jokes about Greta Thunberg, because that's cool and we're high and that's what we do. That's how we roll. That's how you guys roll. That's how you roll. Great. Well, you'll probably be joking about this as well in a week and a half. Look at that. Thousands of people are going to march from Cairo across the Sinai to the Rafah border crossing. You see that? June 15th. You see that? Christians, Muslims, everybody, Jews, okay? And including one of our reporters, 21st Century Wire will be covering this. We have our reporter in the mix, young woman who is going to be covering that. And we will give some great footage and a mini documentary probably as well. So that's historic. I wish I could be going with her, but for various reasons I can't because of my other commitments. That's why she's going. And it's very brave of her to do that. So, you know, these are young people that have got a backbone. These are people who are formidable, who care, who understand right and wrong, and who take life in the world seriously. Okay? Not like these clowns. Look at these clowns. Look at this guy. This guy thinks that Greta is going to be attacked by Muslims with spears when she arrives in Gaza. That's how ignorant and stupid these people are. I mean, you couldn't find bigger idiots than this, quite honestly. Pretty unbelievable. So, you know, anyway, we're gonna cover the whole CIA podcasting circuit. There's a whole propaganda circuit. They're talking up Muslim terrorist attacks that are going to be breaking out in cities across America. Okay. And to do that justice, we're probably going to hold that off until next week, or maybe we'll do a special with our colleagues, Bryan, McClain, and Ruckus. We couldn't connect them today because of technical issues with our service provider. The uplink wasn't working, so I'm not sure why that was happening, but so I'm probably going to have some great footage, and we really want to have them onto the conversation here. Let's look at a few comments before we wrap things up. And let me see. This is interesting. No to NATO, no to war. Love that. Musk has colonized the state budget instead of Mars. Now, there's something in this comment. There's something in this comment, okay? By burning his bridge with Donald Trump, Elon Musk may have basically blown the whole Mars project, okay? Because that would have to get off the ground in this term. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Not that they have the money for it anyway, Elon, but that was something he was talking up at the inauguration. More hype. It's like, send us to the moon first. Then we'll be impressed. Prove the concept. Put someone on the moon after 50 years, please. Do it dedicate the mission to Buzz Aldrin. So that's interesting. And if Elon has to wait for a Democrat president in 2028, the Democrats going to take Elon back in because he's pretty much burned his bridges with the Democrats as well. So Elon might have blown the whole Mars gambit himself by being stupid and being kind of a social subtard and a political subtard. And so a high-functioning autist basically blew it with Mars, because that's the reality of it. Unless you're going to do a mem coin. You and Javier Milei, your buddy, can do a mem coin, a Mars coin. Maybe you can fund it that way by doing a mem coin. So here we go. Nobody cares about your Mars project. It says People Unite. They're talking about their Buzz. Buzz didn't go far either. Buzz is on record saying he didn't go far. So yeah, interesting. True. And let me see what else we've got here from Zach. Elon was never going to put anyone on Mars. It's just a scam to raise money. Some say, many will say that that's the case. Many will say. What else have we got here? Well, they had to do something, not even being able to go to the moon, let alone Mars. Exactly as we were saying. So we'll backtrack a little bit. What were people saying in the chat about Greta and Joe Rogan here? We'll see. Yep. This is the sort of, we have to deal with some of these comments. This is the sort of stuff you say. Who organized that? Sounds like a setup. Is Egypt on board? Of course Egypt is on board. It's coming from Egypt. Okay, Egypt's organizing it. People in Egypt. Okay, of course Egypt's on board. Now, whether if the Israelis want to kill this, then they just have to threaten that they can't guarantee the safety of. Looks like it's going to be about 7,000 to 10,000, 15,000 maybe people marching, significant amount of people. So if it's a security issue, Egypt doesn't want to have a mass murder killing on their hands with the trigger-happy Israelis. And who knows what they could do. They've got ISIS. Israel's been funding ISIS in Gaza, trying to infiltrate and destabilize the community. That's on record. The Israelis admitted it. Netanyahu admitted it last week. So that's the sort of risks that are involved. So let's see what else. Here we go. Pat doesn't want to stoop to the level of casting insults, but branding cannabis users as negative strawman argument is fine. Listen, to the cannabis crowd, I was branding people who get high on air with whatever 50 million audience who are joking about a genocide. Okay, I'll brand those guys as deviant cannabis users. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think the cannabis people can handle themselves. You're all adults. I'm sure you can handle a little bit of criticism. But if you're going to get high and joke about people getting killed, then I'm going to joke about you getting high. How's that? Fair is fair. So here we go. ZP Zap. They will be there on Judgment Day too. We all will. We all will. And well said. That's how they roll. You got it, buddy. That is exactly how they roll. What else the crowd saying here? Rogan is a coward little boy. This is what people are saying. We're getting a barrage of comments about Joe Rogan, and not all good. Not all good. So here we go. Chatter X, again, no to NATO, no to war. Love the PFP there. Unlike the old, quote, old liberals, the neoliberals did not demand a smaller state. They demanded a new neoliberal state, the one that protects the rich from the poor, the capitalists from the workers. Separate discussion, separate argument. We're not going to get into that ideological debate. We don't have the bandwidth for it, the time either. So Americans love their cults. You better believe it. America is the land of cults, okay? Not just religious cults and what you might think are wacko cults. There are cults literally baked into American mainstream society. Religious, corporate, cultural, all sorts of things. And politics. The cult of personality has never been stronger in politics. You know, Americans can whip up. They can whip up a cult like cults. Cults are us. Cults to go. They can whip up a cult in a matter of weeks. They know how to do it. They're really good at it. I'll give you an example. They turned Joe Biden, a geriatric, senile, quasi-corpse of a politician, they turned him into a spry, dynamic leader. And it was enough to fool quite a few Democrats. And look at Zelensky, America and Britain too, by the way. But they turned Zelensky into a cult figure. And although he's losing purchase now, that thing ran for a couple of years, pretty strong. So yeah, Americans can spin up a cult like nobody's business. Never underestimate. That's one thing they can do really well. And to a large degree, and I hate to say it, folks, but MAGA and Donald Trump has become, and the Musk cult, okay? When I was criticizing Elon, the MAGA trolls would come and besiege the comment threads. How can you say that? Why are you picking on Elon? He's got Asperger's, all these excuses. He's the richest guy in the world that bought his way into the White House. I'm going to criticize him. It's just, people, no, you can't say that about Elon, because he created a cult image. Clout, money, and power, as I said. Clout, money, and power. That's what Trump and Elon Musk know very well. Donald Trump is effectively a reality TV presenter who has the image of being a competent CEO. But can that translate into being the commander-in-chief of a country like the United States? I don't think so. And now it's showing. As the title of the show, MAGA is fraying at the seams. Look at the foreign policy front. We'll wrap it up here quite soon. But you've got three major flashpoints, two potential World War III situations, Ukraine, Russia. Trump and his team, if you want to call it that, this clown car full of so-called negotiators, led by Keith Kellogg and whoever else, Little Marco from Florida. These people are a joke, okay? And look where it's heading, careening towards World War III. That's a big L for Donald Trump, big L. The other one, Iran negotiations. That's not going well. Loss, L. Gaza, Israel, Palestine, Israel. No. It's going really bad, actually. Another L. So the three biggest ones, he's fumbling all three. And the blowback, the potential risk for regionally in the Middle East, Europe, and the United States for that matter, they're hitting Russian nuclear deterrent bombers. I mean, how stupid is this? And Trump saying, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it. Oh, my God. It's a pathetic. You're worse than Biden. Trump, you're worse than Sleepy Joe. Because at least Sleepy Joe had an excuse. He was senile. You're allegedly compos mentis, and you still don't know what's going on. I didn't know they tried to assassinate Putin. His helicopter landed in Kursk. I didn't know anything about that. Oh, really? As the reporter's asking him. How humiliating for America that either he is lying and playing stupid because he doesn't want to cop the responsibility of what they've just done using their proxy, Ukraine, and again with the drone swarms, okay? Because you don't want to man up and own it because it's a clandestine operation. Oh, we didn't do it. The Ukrainians did it. Playing that same game Sleepy Joe played. Biden played. So Trump is probably, in that sense, much weaker than Biden. Weaker, under the thumb of pretty much everybody. And doesn't want to make any decisions. Got no strategy, got no policy. It's like, I'm going to be really upset if they don't make a deal by, I don't know, I have got a date in my head, somewhere in my head. That's what he said the other day. It was just completely stupid. I've got it in my head somewhere. And if it's not done by then, we're going to be really, some bad things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. So he's got Lindsey Graham running around in Kiev during negotiations, beating the drums of war. He's let Mike Pompeo running around in Odessa, meeting with Nazis, literally. And Trump's allowing he's got no control. And the Russians are pissed off to no end, and we could end up in World War III. And when we do, when World War III happens, Donald Trump will say, it's not my fault. It's Biden's fault. He'll be fobbing off responsibility right to the bitter end. Okay? It's pathetic. It's absolutely... Biden had an excuse. His brain was AWOL. Trump doesn't have that excuse. Trump is just stupid. And he's bullshitting his way through some of the most dangerous situations in history. And that's not good. Okay? And you know what? Okay, no one's perfect. Trump is not an intellectual giant. He doesn't understand geopolitics. We get all that. But he's not able to even assemble a team that's competent. They've botched all of these negotiations. They're failing on every single one. And then they want to take on China. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Oh, we need to stop China. They're going after Taiwan. You want to start a war with China. Good luck with that. You can't even sort out these other 3 situations. You want to add another fourth disaster to your plate. Good luck with that. Absolutely amazing. Look, we could go on and see some great comments here. Thank you guys for weighing in. Appreciate it. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up. And I'm sorry we couldn't connect our team. We will continue. The CIA podcasters flacking for a war with Iran and another 9/11 or daily shooter false flag on U.S. soil. They're all at it. We've got all the video clips of the different podcasts. We're going to basically take them to the cleaners, and I'll do that with my colleagues on another broadcast, either on this program next Sunday, or we'll do it midweek, or do a special broadcast. We'll see, but we got plenty of material there, and this needs to be called out. So we're going to do that. I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. Thank you for joining us for the Sunday Wire, and again, support the Boiler Room on ACR. That's Bryan McClain, aka Hesher's host of that program with his great team as well, and also the Daily Ruckus again on ACR. This is the Sunday Wire. You can catch us on the archive afterwards. If you miss any of the live broadcast, we're always there. Go to 21stcenturywire.com. Just hit the archive for Sunday Wire. We will have an archive page for the midweek Wire, hopefully this week. We'll set that up. And that show's going really well. Had a great one with Mats Nilsson. And we got another great one coming up as well on Wednesday. And so, yes, and to do all this, we've got so much free content, which we supply to our audience. And I know you guys really like what we're doing lately, and we want to keep doing it and do more of it and do it better. Support 21st Century Wire. Go to our website, donate. You got that tab up at the top. Okay, just hit that, and you got all the different options, every type of option, even anonymous donations through crypto and whatnot, or subscribe and become a member at 21wire.tv. It's another way you can support us as well. So that's all available there, and so we really appreciate it. We're going to need your help more than ever going forward. Those of you who have donated, who have subscribed and become our monthly members, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. We're working hard to build all the things that we're trying to build, but getting these new shows off the ground have been a lot of work, and we're very happy with the progress so far. And I know you guys are as well. So we appreciate your support. So yes, managing all that, all these platforms, and we'll hopefully be adding another platform as well. And I'm also going to be on Substack now, so you'll find me there as well. There'll be a whole nother group of content, articles, and different types of commentary I'll have up there, as well as reactions to podcasts that I'm on as well. And additional analysis, in addition to what we have at 21stcenturywire.com. So we'll have all of that available for you guys. So listen, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Again, appreciate you guys joining us for episode 550 of the Sunday Wire. It's going well. It's going well, and but the world is not going great. So we're going to try to be there for you guys. And again, just a reminder, that's coming up. We'll have coverage of this. We've got our people in the mix. So, and that's no small undertaking. And that's some of the work that we're doing out in the field. We're able to do that because of your support, and to keep this platform viable, we need your help to do that as well. So thank you, and looking forward to connecting with our team member on the ground. You get more details of that. We'll be announcing, showing more of that in the coming week. So look forward to that. But listen, that's all we got time for today. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you when we see you. In the meantime, we'll leave you with the music of Joseph Arthur. Take care. All the best.
Genocide is never justified. There ain't no reason, 'cause human beings are more than just a kind, defined by race or religion. 'Cause we all have souls and a mission here on earth. Only God knows why. You can't decide their death, 'cause you weren't here for their birth, or their first laugh or cry. Don't let the children die. Don't let the children die. Sisters and brothers, we know it's wrong when we see their fathers cry with their mothers. Genocide is never justified. There ain't no reason, 'cause human beings are more than just a kind, defined by race or religion. 'Cause we all have souls and a mission here on earth. Only God knows why. You can't decide their death, 'cause you weren't here for their birth, or their first laugh or cry. Don't let the children die. Don't let the children die. Sisters and brothers, we know it's wrong when we see their fathers cry with their mothers. Don't let the children die. Don't let the children die. Sisters and brothers, we know it's wrong when we see their fathers cry with their mothers.
Han venido a acompañar esta tarde y no podría ser la excepción. El partido Fuerza, Fuerza. Fuerza, Fuerza. Se vive hoy. Se vive esta manifestación desde el corazón y las entrañas de un pueblo. Por eso hoy queremos recibir a ese líder, a ese caballero. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for. You are
When you're tired of being just a commodity, you are the revolution. And we're gaslit into another war. Stand strong, because you are the revolution.
You are the revolution. You are the revolution. You are the revolution. You are the revolution
that you've been waiting for.
You are the revolution. You are the revolution. You are the revolution.
They conspire against you, accuse you of terrorism, to steal your sovereignty. Hold fast, watch it collapse. Know that we still have the power. You are the revolution. They want to centralize, monopolize, control your thoughts. Breathe, go deep, go outside, put seeds in the ground. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for. Alone. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for.
You are the revolution.
You are not alone. That you've been waiting for.
Oh, hi. Is this a train to the revolution?
Why, yes, my lady. And you're right on time.
For in the final analysis, we all inhabit this small planet, and we are all mortal.
Lately I've been watching the world gone mad. Brothers and sisters full to take a stand, to hate their fellow man, another man. Divide and conquer is the acronym plan. Distract the people, control the story. Don't believe your lying eyes, you know me. Stay in power, no matter what. Playing with the doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and gamble your trust, pushing us to turn to good. Corruption and lies, truth is the crime, will turn to gold. Well-designed misery to keep you on edge, make you believe anything anyone says. Keep it left or right, not time to fight 'em. Accuse the victim, can't you see we got 'em? Stay in power, no matter what. Playing with the doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and gamble your trust, pushing us to turn to good. With captured rights, feudals our time will turn to dust. Industrialized brutality, commercialized cruelty, people as commodity, cheer on war and atrocity. No